Oh, it's my problem. Sorry.
Okay, you scared me there. Hi, Ruth. Very nice to meet you. Blaze says hello. He says you're the best interviewer he's ever had. Blaze from All in X.
Yes, I know him, and we talk a lot of times actually. So
He said I was in really good hands with you, so looking forward to this.
Were you at the Phil AI event last year, end of last year?
Where was that?
In Malaysia.
Possible.
Yeah, I was there. I was one of the speakers and panelists over there.
Oh.
So I can't remember who exactly, but I did meet some of your colleagues.
Okay, it might have been Blaze. Was he, how did he look like? Anyway, we can talk about it later because it's 7 p.m. right now, so I think we need to
Okay.
yeah, no worry. We can just do a little bit catch up. You guys can keep going, so I can check if everyone can see us from HTX app and also the Twitter side and the YouTube side.
Yeah, beautiful.
Okay, so I'm gonna check our microphone and ooh, we got 4,000 audiences flashing already. Hello guys, hi, good evening. Yeah, I think everyone can see us from the HTX app side, so I'm gonna check our YouTube side. How is everything going? Oh, YouTube, it's our face. Yay.
Beautiful.
Okay. Let's see, what about the Twitter side? Yes. Okay, everybody can see us from HTX Global Twitter as well. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I think all of you guys can see us, can see HTX Live, not only from YouTube, Twitter, HTX app, and also D-Live platform. Okay, I'm gonna start everything right now.
How do you say your name? Is it a Rafi?
It's Feda Rufai.
Feda.
Yes.
Is my last name.
Okay, Feda and Ruth.
Feda,
Awesome.
okay, this is actually our second time to meet Feda, and I
Yeah.
know a lot of audiences already know both of you actually. Alright, so I'm gonna
VVIP.
start
Both our
everything.
projects are already making some noise, which is a good sign. I'm very excited for this year actually.
Alright, so good evening everyone, good morning or good afternoon. Welcome back to HTX Live, and this is your host Ruth from HTX. And so as the topic said, today we are going to talk about the market once again. So if you look at the market right now, we are facing a very, very interesting moment. Honestly, a little bit confusing. It's kind of like divergence, and also as you know, the gold, silver keeps making new highs. I'm not sure if you guys trade all those things. And global risk headlines are everywhere because we have this war and also the Venezuela condition and also the Donald Trump everything. So, but Bitcoin, which many people see as the digital gold is stuck hovering around the 90,000 K. 90 to 95,000 range. So with no clear follow through from the bulls. So it's really hard to say if it's bull market or bear market, or stuck in the middle like a monkey jump and going down. So today we are not asking whether crypto is dead or still alive. Definitely we are still building. So what we are talking about is a very, very subtle question. So why isn't bullish conviction showing up despite everything that should support it? So today we have two gentlemen joining us, and I'm gonna let everyone to give us a brief introduction. Still, I'm gonna start from Feda. Hello, hi.
Hello again, everybody. Thank you for joining today. I am Feder Fari. I'm the Chief Business Development Officer of NI28. NI28 is a real-world asset protocol built around one of the most important industrial resources in the global economy, which is nickel. We connect licensed mining operations with on-chain verification, allowing real production, reserves, and asset data to be represented in a transparent and structured way on the blockchain. Rather than chasing short-term narratives at NI28, we focus on long-term value, clear standards, and responsible growth, positioning ourselves as infrastructure for the next stage of Web3, where real world assets, compliance, and global participation come together.
Thank you, Feda, and welcome welcome again. And also, what about you, Michael? A little bit introduction of yourself.
Yeah, it's very cool to be here with everyone today. Actually, I'm meeting both of you for the first time. I'm Mikey, Chief Investment Officer at OnlyNext. We're building infrastructure in the real-world asset realm. We like to think of ourselves as a CD5 project because we're really strong when it comes to the compliance side, but we're also very in touch when it comes to the DeFi side. RWA, is a bridge. For people that don't know what RWA is, it's a bridge between traditional finance and the crypto ecosystem, right? So think of it as a bridge that you can go both ways on. And it's without a doubt one of the strongest long-term narratives in crypto right now. You can reach me on X at Mikey Laviolette for any information on my project or by checking out socials. Happy to be here.
Wow, thank you, gentlemen, for the introduction. Also, one more remind, if you watch the live from Twitter or YouTube, feel free to go to check out the HTX app because we prepare a lot of USDT airdrops and all the audiences can join and grab your shares. Okay, so just stay tuned. Let's get everything started. So the first question, so it's not like a market analysis, but we are talking more about the micro side. So let's start with the micro signals that the market is reacting to. So first thing is, what is the market actually pricing in? Over the past week, gold and silver have hit record highs one after another. So from both of your perspectives, what risks is the market really pricing in right now? I'm still gonna circle back to Feda to share a little bit. Do you trade like silver or gold?
Well, I don't, but I've been keeping an eye on silver specifically. Now, silver recently dropped again, but it reached an all-time high of $77 per ounce. And I've seen some forecasts saying that silver itself might start fighting head-to-head with gold because there has been a lot more applications and usage and much more demand for silver.
Yeah.
So outside the question, I will tell everybody to keep an eye on silver, and if you can, just buy silver and hide it. You can never lose with that. But to answer your question, gold and silver hitting record highs shows that investors are becoming more cautious and preparing for higher uncertainty. The ongoing geopolitical tensions and concerns about the global economy are pushing people towards assets that are seeing safer stores of value. While news from regions like Venezuela and the whole of the Middle East basically can cause short-term spikes, but the broader move suggests there's a deeper shift in how investors protect their wealth. So this means that the rally is more than just an emotional reaction. It could point to a longer-term change on how global assets are valued, especially in projects like ours and Mikhail's as well. That's the biggest thing I think in blockchain right now. If not the biggest, it's one of the biggest things happening in blockchain, which is real-world assets. because that solves one of the major issues that we had in the industry since the beginning, which is trust and risk.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, back to you.
All right, thank you, Feta. So what about you, Michael, about the gold and silver?
Yeah, I'll just add on to what he said because those were valid points. It's interesting also to think about gold and silver also being now something that you can buy directly on chain and on most of your wallets, which is something we couldn't do before because of the RWA, innovation that's been going on. So a lot of times when I've been here before, we've talked about gold and silver, and we've talked about it being a pricing related to risk. But I want to take a bit of a different angle on that and think of it not just as a risk pricing, but as a regime change. So that would be my premise. And okay, so we have the Venezuela president getting brought in the USA in an actual Nike tech, right?
Yeah.
And we have the whole Iran situation that escalated in the past week, if you're aware of that, where they're shutting down the internet and big chaos is going on there, on top of the Middle East tensions going on. So of course, these matters, but gold doesn't hit all-time highs because of conflicts, and we can record that because there's been conflicts in the past where gold wasn't affected in the same way, right?
Yes.
So what gold is telling us here is that the largest holders of dollar-denominated assets, so that's the central banks, the sovereign wealth funds, they're quietly reducing their exposures in US treasuries, and they're increasing hard asset allocation. China's one of these. So some people say this started after 2022 when the Russian reserves were frozen. And so it's not either short-term emotion or long-term reevaluation. It's mostly both, but the structural bid is definitely the story. So the central bank's gold purchase have been at multi-decade highs for 3 years in a row now. So in short, what that means is the reevaluation of hard assets against fiat currency, against fiat US dollars. It started a few years ago, but it's now accelerated.
Yes, but like both of you guys are mentioned about the escalating geopolitical tensions right now. So why do you think Bitcoin hasn't absorbed the same level of fear-driven inflows yet? What's your thoughts on this?
I think it really has to do that because now Bitcoin is so much institutionalized. It's less of a quick reactive trading that's going on. So when you only have traders that are interacting in a product, as soon as there's a bad news or a good news, you'll see the candles go green and red super quickly. Whereas now, because we have more long-term, bigger players into the ecosystem, it's a bit less reactive like that route.
What about you, Fat? What's your thought on the Bitcoin side?
My personal opinion on Bitcoin is a bit different than most, especially in this context of this conversation. I am more of a tech guy rather than a trading guy. So I focus on projects and the actual utility of blockchain and cryptocurrencies. So not from this year, I've been saying this since I think, I can't even remember when, maybe 2021, 2022, I've been saying Bitcoin itself is gonna be the biggest thing in blockchain for the longest time. However, eventually it will stabilize. It will be just another asset in the end because, like Mikhail said, Bitcoin trading is more for the short term. But when you want to think about something more long term, you start looking elsewhere. And I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I think. I think in the end of the day, traders will eventually start moving away from Bitcoin. I don't know if this could be in a year, 2, 5, I'm not sure. But I think in the end, it will just become properly mainstream, so it will just be just another coin there. That's a bit of controversial opinion, but yes, that's my thought on actually.
All right, got it. Okay, appreciate the answers anyway. So okay, let's move on to the next one. Since we are talking about the macro side, so we have to talk about the Fed reserves politicals and new kind of risk. Recently, the Fed Reserve's balance sheet has expanded again, and at the same time, Powell has come under political scrutiny, which he has some legal problem with the president. So market usually reacts strongly to liquidity, but this time the response feels restrained. How should investor interpret this combination of liquidity expansion and political pressures? It's really interesting because recent market, this week is kind of bull, but I also ask, my colleague because I trade a lot. So I'm just trying to find out why, the market rebound so much, especially Ethereum and Bitcoin as well. So no one actually give this accurate answer. So I'm kind of curious what you guys thought about this one.
All right. So I think that the recent expansion of the Federal Reserve's balance sheet and the scrutiny around the Powell highlights how monetary policy is becoming more closely tied with political and geopolitical pressures.
Yes.
In times like this, in times of stress, the Fed can normally steps in to stabilize the market. But doing so at a time of political tension naturally, make people question their independence from the political system. Okay, this does not mean that the Fed does not have autonomy, but it does suggest that the market are starting to price in independence risk as a factor. Meaning decisions may be influenced by broader political realities and not just pure economic data. As a result, investors are paying closer attention to the liquidity signals, credibility, and policy consistency, making central bank independence itself a more visible variable rather than a constant. It becomes a variable in the market risk assessment.
Yeah. Okay. So, nothing. What about you, Michael? What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah. So you can think of it like we're in a new environment where you have the monetary policy on one hand and the political cycles on the other hand that are becoming more entangled than any time since about like the 1970s. So, whether you believe the investigation into Powell's is like a political theater or not, it is hard to deny the balance on the sheet expansion in itself. The Fed had to step back because its treasury market was showing stress. And when you see the balance sheet expand after months of quantitative tightening, it shows that the system can't handle the liquidity withdrawals out of the system. So there's an argument to be made that central bank independence is somewhat of you could call it a polite fiction. And that's because the Fed has always been operating within political constraints.
Yeah.
What's changed is that before this was done behind closed door and now it's being openly discussed.
Yeah.
So you could think that the real risk here is not that politicians will influence the Fed. The real risk, in my opinion, is that the market will lose confidence in the Fed's ability to navigate between these two things, the economic reality and the political pressure.
Yes, but is there any chance that Trump want to, change or adjust the rate in some way? Because, a lot of predictions that the next one after Powell it's his fans or something. I don't know, from his department or something. I'm not sure. All right, so
Yes.
let's move on to the next one. Still shout out to our HTX Live families. Right now we have more than 6,000 audiences with us tonight. And yeah, hello guys. If you have any question about the topic we are talking about or anything about the market, feel free to let us know. We can discuss together. So yeah, we also prepare a lot of USDT airdrops inside the HTX app. So if you watch this live from HTX Twitter or HTX YouTube channel, feel free to go to check out. Alright, so let's move on to question 3. So it's still about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is still trading near historical highs, yet momentum feels weak. And at this level, who do you think has the upper hand right now, bulls or bears? Oh, that's an interesting one. I wonder as well. So we've seen, whales reducing exposure, leverage cooling off, and the bearish structures exiting at the same time as long-term bullish narrative remain intact. So what's your guys' opinion on this one about the current market? So flat?
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin trading, repeatedly trading between 90 to 95,000 range. I think it's just a phase of balance rather than dominance between bulls and bears. Bulls still hold the broader advantage because price remains elevated and long-term structure is still intact. But the market is clearly pausing to absorb liquidity. Whale position closures and mixed signals usually indicate distribution and repositioning, not necessarily trend reversal. This is the kind of behavior often appears before a larger move. So I think there's something coming up soon. I'm not sure what it is yet, but the direction depends on whether new demand steps in. I think in the end, this looks less like a breakdown, more like a consolidation, where volatility is being compressed ahead of a potential breakout rather than clear mid-bull divergence.
Okay, so what about you, Michael, about this one? The current market?
Yeah, so it's a good question, but maybe not for the reason you're thinking. Well, first of all, Bitcoin is sitting at around 96, 97K. And right now, what's interesting is not whether the bulls or the bears are leading, is that none of the two is leading. It's like a super interesting stalemate right now. And that's why this question is actually the correct question. So what we're seeing right now is a market equilibrium at like a high level like we've never seen before. And Bitcoin's been consolidated for months right now at levels that would have been a cycle top in the previous cycles. And so the bid under this market is structural. So that's like we talked about. We have the ETFs, the corporate treasuries, and obviously the sovereign interest. So after a massive run, large holders taking profits is a very rational thing. And there's no financial advice today, but it's something you should do too. So what would be bearish is if the selling was being, if it was not being absorbed, which is not the case right now. That's why it would be a bearish scenario. Personally, this is more of a reaccumulation phase for me. But I'll be honest, Ruth, if anyone tells you with certainty, which way this is going right now, you could consider them as very naive or taking advantage. So, at your own risk. I think there's completely no way to know right now.
Yes, exactly. Yes, still, guys, this is not like financial advice. Still do your own research before you do anything. And yeah, like everyone said, the market is full of uncertainty right now. We don't know anything. So just be careful, okay, when you open any positions. All right, so still let's move on to the Ethereum side. So it's a I got this question called, is it repeating history or writing a new one? Ethereum is really, really interesting if you look at that. And if you invested Ethereum a couple of years ago and you hold it until now, nothing changed, honestly. So I'm really curious about you guys' thoughts on Ethereum, because some traders are comparing the current Ethereum setup to July last year, right before Ethereum accelerated upward. At the same time, sentiment around Ethereum remains extremely pessimistic. And with Ethereum or Bitcoin stabilizing, volatility compressing, and technological patterns converging, how do you view this zone? So still about Ethereum. And also right now the price is over 3,300, so rebound a lot. So so this is a good question. So is 30,000 closer to a macro bottom, or is it simply a pause within a border range before the market makes its next decisive move? So what about you, Feta?
Okay. I'm just gonna echo back what Mikhail said earlier. I think it's too early to tell anything for certain. But Ethereum is showing some similarities to the sharp the sharp rally that we saw last July, especially in terms of how the pessimism or the negativity peaked before the conditions around Ethereum started to stabilize again. The fact that Ethereum and Bitcoin has stopped falling and the technical patterns are tightening, I think it suggests the selling pressure is easing. That being said, it's still too early to call the 3,000 a confirmed bottom. I think it should be viewed as a key stabilization level, where the market decides its direction. If broader market strength continues and Ethereum demand improves, this level could become a base, but confirmation will still depend on the follow-through rather than the pattern alone.
Yes, okay.
So I don't think I can give you a definite answer. It's too early to tell.
Yes, I got hurt by Ethereum a lot of times anyway. So yeah, what about you, Michael, about this one?
Yeah, I'm very sorry you got hurt by Ethereum. I actually love Ethereum. Like every time I come on HTX Live with Darko, he says Ethereum. And we've talked about it a lot here. Some people say it's like the most hated asset. You know, it catches a lot of shots.
Yes.
But actually, there's like a useful signal between how much Ethereum is being hated and the market. That's actually like a very useful signal to decipher what's going on. And look, this is a similar question. This is why things like this are super useful, like HTX Live, because when you're going to be trading, you're not going to catch the lows and the highs. That's like physically impossible. What you need to understand is what is Ethereum, you know, and what are these cryptos, and grow your macro perspective, and that's how you're going to make the right calls. So this is why you got to tune up to discussions like this. Okay, so I'm going to give you like a quick bear case and a quick bull case, because to be honest, as I said earlier, it's super tight. The bear case is ETH revenues has declined, and L2s are eating the base layer. So those are the main things. And there's also like the Solana war, right? So that's the base case for bear. Now, this is what people usually miss, is that ETH is like an institutional grade asset now, in a way that like almost nothing else can be. It has the spot ETF, you know, it's been battle tested for its security for years. So when traditional finance allocates to crypto beyond Bitcoin, ETH is like second choice. You know, I know there is no second best, but if there was a second best, it would be ETH. So I don't know with certainty, but I do have a bullish sentiment on ETH, and my circle, you know, where I stay, there's a lot of OGs in the space and in touch with ETH. Everybody's still super bullish, so take that as you want. And I think we might be closer to a bottom than people think. So hopefully Ethereum doesn't hurt you again in the future.
But honestly, I just don't understand. If you look at the Bitcoin and you compare to Ethereum, they are just way too different. The performance of Ethereum is just way lame compared to Bitcoin. Yes, okay. So
I would just like to add one point. I think one of the big things that will affect Ethereum, because is actually Ethereum has a lot more use and utility than Bitcoin. And I think once blockchain becomes mainstream worldwide, Ethereum price is gonna skyrocket, because it's actually gonna be used everywhere. Because if I'm not mistaken, the majority of projects that are being launched in the past couple of years, everything is on Ethereum, either ERC20 or 3643. So I think, especially you, Ruth, you should still feel very hopeful for the future for Ethereum, because even me, myself, as not a big trader myself, I still believe that Ethereum is gonna get bigger and bigger.
And you have to remember that it's all about building, and Ethereum has the most devs, which is like one of the most important metrics.
Exactly.
I don't know, but sometimes I also think the market is really, especially couple of weeks ago when the market is super bear. There is like not too much project built. There are not so much projects actually. I don't know, choose to build on Ethereum. So there was a while I was pretty frustrated and lose kind of faith of Ethereum, honestly speaking.
Think about it this way, Ruth. What is Base built on? Right?
Uh-huh.
No, but Base is a layer for Ethereum.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like, obviously there's not that many projects that are built directly on Ethereum, but the ecosystem captures so many chains and so many projects. It's just sometimes hard to see because it's not directly built on it. That might be the answer for that.
Exactly. And you also need to keep an eye on projects that are using ERC 3643 because that one has a lot more application and utility than ERC 20. But yeah, it should still be very helpful and very optimistic for the future of Ethereum.
Okay, I hope so because I choose. It's just my personal story. I choose to buy the dip at the 4,000 exactly that time. So after that, you guys already know what happened of Ethereum until now. So yeah, okay, still hold it. Have faith. Okay. So let's move on to the last one. So we talk about the mainstream coins like Bitcoin, Ethereum. Right now we are gonna move to the meme coin or the altcoin side. So recently we've seen memes rebound again, especially narratives driven by Chinese meme community. Yes, exactly, bringing short-term heat back into the altcoin market. I'm not sure if you guys pay attention on that side, but at the same time, overall on-chain activity and user participation are not expanding meaningfully. So do you think the logic of altcoin cycle has changed? So what's your opinion on this one? Feda, you can start.
Okay, sure. I think the recent rebound in meme coins, including the Chinese theme memes, suggests that the logic of altcoin has not really changed or fundamentally changed, but it's becoming more selective. Like I mentioned earlier, because people are moving away from fast gains and looking for something a bit more long-term and less risk. But these rallies are still driven mainly by liquidity and short-term speculation rather than the actual fundamentals. When improving the narratives appear alongside the declining on-chain activity, it usually signaling rotation and positioning, not a broad altcoin season yet. This kind of divergence normally shows early risk taken at the edge of the market, while the capital remains cautious overall. In a sense, the market may be in the early exploration phase of a new altcoin cycle, but a true broad-based altcoin season would require stronger participation, of course, sustained activity, and follow through beyond the meme-driven moves. But in the end of the day, I'm not the expert, especially about altcoins. I think Mikhail will have more interesting things to say.
Yeah, so what's your take on this one, Michael?
Yeah, I appreciate that we made me the meme coin expert. I'm not that invested in meme coins, actually. I know about the four, meme coin that pumped a lot a few months ago. Obviously, I'm more involved into RWA, but I think the reason why the question is interesting is because it forces us to confront what is an altcoin season. See, in crypto, what we'll do is we'll create these terms. And the reason we create these terms is for us to categorize complicated things into more simple things, so that we can have a better macro understanding that's happening. So what is altcoin season? So in previous cycles, altcoins was a rising tide. Bitcoin rallied, profits went into ETH, then into large caps, and into small caps, meme coins. So the liquidity was cascading down, everybody made money.
Yes.
There's an opinion circulating right now that this cycle is actually different. we're seeing selective rotation. So it's not uniform rotations. Some sectors are winning and some sectors are losing. RWA means, like you mentioned, AI tokens, certain L1s, not all of them, all had explosive moves. You can think of Zcash, for example, in the L1s. But others, DeFi, metaverse tokens, older L1s, they're just pretty much left out for dead. Ethereum is one of them where it's been horizontal, but that's also one of them that you mentioned. So think of it that the old playbook of, okay, I'm just going to buy alts after Bitcoin pumps, and then I'm going to make a bunch of money, is a bit oversimplified right now. You need to understand a little bit more of the macro situation. So does this token have a story? Does this token capture attentions? Is there enough liquidity to sustain the moves? What's the tokenomics for the projects? You need to look into these projects with a bit more attentions, and that will help you catch these waves in the altcoin season.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Michael.
I'll just add one last little thing,
go ahead.
just to expand on the last point that Mikhail mentioned. I think the general move in the market right now is more about the structure and the tokenomics, like he mentioned, rather than something short-lived. So I think, in my opinion, from a business development overview or perspective, I think what's happening is like the Bitcoin, or sorry, the cryptocurrency market in general is stabilizing in terms of how people look at what to invest at and what coins or tokens to invest in, more rather than, okay, this one is rising like crazy, I want to, okay, make a quick buck. No, it's not about that anymore. People are actually starting to properly consider long-term investment opportunities in cryptocurrencies.
Yes, long-term, definitely. All right.
And that's where projects like ours come in. We are here for the long term.
Yes, for sure. All right, I appreciate the answer. Yeah, all right. Yeah, we have more than 10,000 audiences with us tonight, and they learn a lot about the market. Thank you so much for the information. You're welcome. Just follow HTX Live, and yeah, we have these kind of live every week, just to talk about the market, talk about the trends. And also, so before we wrap up, there is like one go-to question. So is there any lessons that you guys learned from the market or experience that you got from the market to share to all the audiences, to everyone watch the live, especially they are newbies of the Web3? Because I know a lot of new crypto traders of our channel, because we have a lot of streamers. They are professional traders. So they came to our platform just to learn how to trade. So from both of you guys' opinions, is there anything to share or anything you learned from cycles? Anyone?
I'll just say I think it's the most obvious thing when it comes to trading, not only cryptocurrency, but any kind of trading or investment, is do proper research. Read about the project, like Mikhail mentioned, understand what the project is about, and make an informed decision before you jump in. Not just because everybody is tweeting about or talking about a specific token or coin that you just jump in without knowing anything. We live in an age where now there's a high chance that those are either bots or AI or whatever you want to call them. So it's not that expensive to do anymore. So make sure you properly read about what you're investing in, and make sure that you understand the market and the cryptocurrency market and the trading market before you start making snap decisions.
Wow, useful, definitely. Yeah, we need to learn a lot. The market is so uncertain. So what about you, Michael? Anything you learn?
Yeah. I mean, we discussed about it. Keep a good macro perspective of what's going on. come up with your own vision of the market. You know, it's easy to listen to people and just copy. You think, oh, this person's so much smarter than me. I'm just gonna do what they do. See, that seems like the obvious first best choice. But actually, it doesn't work. I can't explain you why it doesn't work, but long term, you're going to have to make your own perspective on the situation by listening to a lot of different people. And I think this is why HTX Live, what they'll do is they'll bring new people all the time for you to get a better understanding of the macro, situation. Personally, I mean, I'm definitely biased on this, but I think RWAs are super cool. It goes from like, a mine in Peru tokenizing the excavation machines project like Annie Gold, shout out to them, they're my friends, to somebody tokenizing stocks, to, just tokenizing institutional grade assets like we did on OnNext. Anything in that field I think is super cool. Definitely do your research, but check it out.
Yes.
RWA is the big trend right now. Keep an eye on projects like this. We're also doing another metal, nickel, that is actually revolving. Anything that you look around you, it actually has nickel. Electric vehicles, even your spoons and forks need nickel as well. So it is a very important metal. But also, I've seen quite a bit of projects, even in the PLI event late last year. There's an RWA project about an AI-powered toothbrush, which I found very interesting.
Toothbrush.
Yes, it's actually quite impressive. I think you should check it out. It tells you what you need to do to have better oral hygiene. I even saw an RWA project about tobacco farm. I know that will turn some heads, but also people will be cautious about that because, smoking. But keep an eye for RWA. It's going to change a lot of things because it's not only about physical stuff that you can actually feel and touch, but also like OnNext institutional assets that are very important. Stocks itself that are normally traded, have their own market, are being tokenized right now. So it can tell you how big RWA is.
Yes, exactly. A bridge is being built, from Web 2 to Web 3, which is really amazing. And also, right now the market isn't really lacking narratives. We have RWA, AI, stablecoin a lot. It's more like lacking conviction and also understanding where hesitation comes from. It's often more important than chasing the next highlight, definitely. So for everyone watching the live stream, this discussion is meant to help you to understand the market structure and also the risk. It's definitely not financial advice for sure, and make sure to follow HTX Live and follow these two amazing projects. And stay tuned for the upcoming session and continue learning with us, okay? So thank you guys, and thank you to all the audiences watch this live right now from different platforms. So we are gonna see you the next one. This is Ruth from HTX Live. So see you next one. Bye guys.
Take care guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Appreciate your time. Bye bye. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.